Donald Trump's drive-by outside the hospital where he was being treated for coronavirus has sparked widespread fury among U.S. doctors. One called the president's actions insanity that put the health of all those in the bulletproof suit with him at risk. Mr. Trump, 74, who was last night due to leave the Walter Reed Medical Center in Bethesda, Maryland, drove past supporters on Sunday in a move branded a PR stunt. The president's decision to return to the White House was met with derision by medical experts. Others said his words were a complete disrespect to the 210,000 Americans who had lost their lives due to the virus. Before departing the Walter Reed Medical Center, he tweeted, "I will be leaving the great Walter Reed Medical Center feeling really good. Don't be afraid of COVID. Don't let it dominate your life. We have developed, under the Trump administration, some really great drugs and knowledge. I feel better than I did 20 years ago." Immediately, his tweet was attacked by medical professionals. Dr. Eugene Gu wrote, "Don't be afraid of COVID. Not every American has access to the top therapeutics and doctors with the most advanced equipment available to the President of the United States. You feel better than you did 20 years ago. That's because of your dexamethasone high that resembles mania." He added, "It's beyond irresponsible for the President of the United States to use his one experience with COVID-19 and extrapolate that to millions of people who are suffering. More than 200,000 Americans have already died. Many more are in peril and have every reason to take precautions." Dexamethasone is a widely available steroid drug that was given to Trump and has been found to reduce the risk of death in seriously ill coronavirus patients by about a third. According to clinical trial results hailed last week as a major breakthrough, the drug did not appear to help less severely ill patients. Insiders said the decision to leave hospital was Trump's and Trump's alone. His campaign team are extremely concerned if his condition deteriorates, how it would look to voters so close to next month's election. One source told the Mirror, "It's all about the PR, not the for the president." Emergency medicine Dr. James Phillips, a physician at the hospital, tweeted, "Every single person in the vehicle during that completely unnecessary presidential drive-by just now has to be quarantined for 14 days. They might get sick. They may die. For political theater. Commanded by Trump to put their lives at risk." Close quote. Dr. Phillips also said it raised the question of whether Mr. Trump was directing his doctors and said it breached standards of care. He added, "At what point does the physician-patient relationship end and the commander-in-chief and subordinate relationship begin? Were those doctors ordered to let this happen?" Scores of physicians across the country echoed the fury. There was also anger from within the Secret Service, which protects the president. One agent said, "He's not even pretending to care now." White House spokesman Judd Deere insisted precautions were taken during the short trip. He said, "The movement was cleared by the medical team as safe to do." Announcing his intention to leave hospital last night, Mr. Trump tweeted, "Feeling really good. Don't be afraid of COVID. Don't let it dominate your life. I feel better than I did 20 years ago." Close quote. The decision to leave was met with derision by medical experts. One said his words showed a complete disregard to the 210,000 Americans who have died of COVID. Dr. Eugene Gu wrote, "Don't be afraid of COVID. Not every American has access to the top therapeutics and doctors with the most advanced equipment available to the President of the United States." Close quote. He added, "It's beyond irresponsible for the President to use his one experience with COVID-19 and extrapolate that to millions of people who are suffering." More than 200,000 Americans have already died. Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany yesterday became the latest of Mr. Trump's staff to test positive. Reporters last night told of their anger after she gave a press conference on Sunday while not wearing a mask. New York Magazine's Olivia Nuzzi posted, "She has recklessly endangered lives." Members of the White House press pool immediately reacted to McEnany testing positive after she spoke to the media on Sunday without wearing a mask. Kayleigh McEnany has repeatedly spoken to reporters without a mask on. She has recklessly endangered lives, New York Magazine's Olivia Nuzzi tweeted. CNN's Jim Acosta shared an image of maskless McEnany speaking to the press outdoors briefly on Sunday. She once famously played down the threat of the coronavirus when she became press secretary. While appearing on Fox News, she boasted, "We will not see diseases like the coronavirus come here." And isn't it refreshing when contrasting it with the awful presidency of President Obama? Today, thousands of social media users reminded her of her words as she began 14 days of isolation. Anger also emerged from within the Secret Service who protect the president and his family. Current and former agents blasted his drive-by that saw 2 agents take part. "Hess not even pretending to care now," one said. A former member, referencing the Trump administration, simply asked, "Where are the adults? That should never have happened," a current agent, who works on the first family's personal detail, told CNN. The frustration with how we're treated when it comes to decisions on this illness goes back before this though. We're not disposable. Following Trump's tweet he was to return the White House, his physician, Dr. Sean Conley, gave an update declaring he's back. Close quote. Though he may not be entirely out of the woods yet, the team and I agree that all his evaluations, and most importantly, his clinical status support his return home, where he'll be surrounded by world-class medical care 24/7, he said. When asked if he supported Trump saying "Don't be afraid of COVID. Don't let it dominate your life," Conley replied he was not going to get into what the president says. One of the physicians said Trump received his 3rd dose of remdesivir today and tolerated that infusion without difficulty. Dr. Brian Garibaldi said the president's kidney and liver function continue to be normal. "Our plan is to give him the 4th treatment of remdesivir before he goes back to the White House, and we've made arrangements to deliver the 5th and final dose of his treatment course at the White House tomorrow, today evening," Garibaldi said. The doctor said Trump is still taking dexamethasone. Once again, doctors refused to say when Trump last returned a negative COVID test as rumors swirled he had failed in days to check if he had the virus before Thursday last week. Conley's endorsement of Trump's discharge came despite the president's advisors urging the U.S. leader not to check out of the hospital. aides had encouraged him to stay, warning him of the bad optics if his condition were to worsen again, requiring a second hospitalization. "You don't wanna come back," is the message that's been relayed to the president, a source said. If Trump gets worse after returning to the White House, the source said, that would be bad. Close quote. US election 2020. As Conley and the medics inside Walter Reed are naval doctors, Trump as commander-in-chief has the right to overrule them. Confusion and contradictory statements have reigned ever since Trump was admitted to hospital. On Saturday, his medical team painted a picture of the president's improving health, only for minutes later his chief of staff, Mark Meadows, to say the next 48 hours were critical. He cited Trump's worrying levels of oxygen. Meadows' break from the presidential line infuriated his boss, seeing the U.S. leader to post a video hours later contradicting Meadows. Insiders also claim it is what pushed him to undertake Sunday's drive-by. White House sources were last night questioning if Meadows would survive as chief of staff given his comments on Trump's poor health.